Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Dan-A-Plooza. In fact, actually, it's our 150th episode. So, thank you all for
Yay!
tuning in and watching. We have a very, very special show lined up for you today. Um, we have from the comic book world, we have Heroineburgh. We're very excited to talk to the super heroine and super villain. We have these, as well as the creator of the comic book world and the episodes.
Hello.
Uh, so let's give a virtual round of applause for Bridget, who plays Arctica, and then Jessica, who plays Chlorina. So thank you for being here on Dan-A-Plooza.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, thank you so much.
You're welcome. Uh, Also, for those watching, make sure to follow Heroineburgh on Facebook and check out their website, www.heroineburgh.com. You can look at that website to learn more about the characters, the superheroines and villains. You can also look at your comic books and see when they'll be making appearances. And you can also get information on how to order the episodes. So make sure to go ahead and follow and subscribe today. Thank you, everyone, for being here.
Yay!
Thank you.
You're welcome. So, Herwenberg, can you first tell us how you developed this series and what made you want to do this?
Sure. So I started working on this series, the video series. It's live action superheroes in 2016. Kind of when I started getting some access to cameras and video equipment while working at a local um, arts organization called Pittsburgh Filmmakers, which unfortunately no longer exists. But it was a legendary place that inspired several generations of filmmakers. And while I was there, inspired by various things from both my youth and more recent productions, I decided to create a live action comic book and then to turn it also into a printed comic book. There it is. That's our third issue, the newest one. You can see Chlorina on the cover. And yeah, since then, we have produced 23 live action episodes, nine mini episodes written by fans, and three comic books available in about 200 stores around the country. So, yeah, Pittsburgh Filmmakers was the real genesis. And in fact, we taped the entire first episode on the third floor of Pittsburgh Filmmakers on a Tuesday back in 2016 in the summer. And since then, turned it into a comic. Now you're looking at the issue number one, which came out a couple years ago, that has Arctica on the cover, which the character that Bridget plays in the series. So yeah, that's how it started. Uh, I think a lot of it is inspired by my childhood and teenagehood and things I enjoyed in the 70s and 80s as far as TV shows, movies, and comics, and kind of bringing it up to date. But yes, the purpose is to have fun and good adventures and to showcase powerful women.
There you go. Um,
With
I've
muscles.
enjoyed so far the series. I've only read the comic book version, but I have seen some of the web episodes. I know that they play at conventions, and you've also had them play at Steel City Con, correct?
A few years ago, we did. The most recent episode we played, and Bridget was there. We showed our episode 21, the season two finale, in its entirety at Happy Valley Con in Penn State. And we'll probably be showing it again at Sci-Fi Valley in Altoona in a couple months. So, but there's opportunities for anybody can just download them directly from our website instead, or they can look at our YouTube channel because besides our Facebook, we also have YouTube, Instagram, and Twitter. So they can check out lots of clips, including clips featuring Jess and Bridget as their characters.
Awesome. So we look forward to that. Please let me know and remind me so I can post it in the Dan-A-Plooza Facebook page.
Mm-hmm.
So let's get into some questions. We'll ask a question for Jess and Bridget. Jess, what does it mean to play your character, Chlorina? What does it mean to you?
Well, it means a lot to me for a couple different reasons. One, first off, I had been following Heroineburgh for a while. So I'm not the original Chlorina. I believe Dana and Sarah, maybe. So I had been watching the series and I really thought it was such a cool concept. That's me. Up. I love that face. But I thought it was a cool concept and I really love women being powerful and I love women like taking charge and being in the spotlight. So that was always something that I really liked that the creator was doing and putting out. So when he asked me if I'd be interested, it was like one of those things. It's like, well, I always wanted to do this. This is awesome. I love the character. I love that I'm a villain. Even as a kid, I kind of always identified with the villain in the movies, even though I am very nice. But just kind of like that, being the bad guy and trying to cause a ruckus. It's just kind of that's my jam when it comes to things like movies or books or comics. Like that's the cool character to me. Yeah, I like the character. I like a lot about Chlorina. I really identify with wanting to clone yourself because I would love to have a couple more. But the whole experience, it means a lot to me to have the opportunity to do that. And I think that the idea of having these powerful women of the city is really important.
All right, that was great answers. And we're glad that you are part of this, and thank you for being here.
Thank
Um,
you.
oh, you're welcome. Now let's get to Bridget. I know that you play those characters. um, so, what does it mean for you to play Arctica?
Yeah, Arctica is the superhero heroine. She has ice powers. Um, this has been a really fun thing. Yep, that's me as Arctica. This has been a really fun thing for me to be involved in. I want to say that I came in 2018, I believe. I'm also not the original Arctica. She was played by a different actress at first, and then I responded to a Facebook ad that our director put on Facebook, actually. So that's how I got involved. But I really like the series for a lot of reasons. I like to say that it's kind of a home brew show, a brewed show. It's all made in Pittsburgh, filmed in different locations in Pittsburgh. All the people that work on it, the actresses, the crew, the other everybody's from Pittsburgh, so it's all a Pittsburgh production. Even the comic books are made by Pittsburgh and drawn by Pittsburgh artists. So I think that's really great. And I also really like um, that we do have a lot of really great, strong female characters, and that they're not all heroes. Some of them are villains. Some of them start as heroes and then become villains later. And even among, but I also really appreciate that even among both all the heroines on one side and all the villains on one side, they don't always get along with each other, agree with each other all of the time. And I think that's something that's really important too, to represent that all of the characters have their own personalities, their own viewpoints, and I think that's something that's really important to portray as well.
All right.
It's just a lot of fun.
It is.
So can you tell me like what a typical shoot day is like when you are shooting this?
We just got to shoot together.
Yeah, we shot together for the first time. The picture you just showed on the screen was actually from the episode that me and Jess, that was our first filming together. So that was fun. And that's going to be actually from the most recent episode that'll be coming out in a few months. Um, I mean, I guess I would say it kind of depends on what is going to be happening in the episode. Like it could be, um, just speaking from my experience, it could be something as easy as I'm sitting at a desk and I'm working on trying to find a villain, which is very easy. I'm just sitting at a desk, I'm typing, and I'm like, it's going to be really hard for me to find this person or something. Or it could be, all right, we're going to have you punch her, and then she's going to punch you, and then you're going to shoot something at her, and she's going to shoot something at you. So
Yeah.
it kind of depends on the episode.
I think it's a lot of fun. I like to interact. I had a lot of fun with our back and forth, Bridget. It's so fun, like to play that character and just like obviously we're having fun and we're friends, and then it's like, but now I'm gonna punch you. It's just fun.
Yeah, I
It's,
had fun too.
yeah.
You had a good when our characters first interact in the episode. She just insults me straight away, and I'm just like, "Oh, how dare you!" And that was just
Yeah.
So I have a question for Heroineburgh.
Yeah.
Do you normally lay out the fight scenes beforehand before shooting the episode, or do you just kind of go with it as you go through the episode?
Well, that's a good question. It depends on the situation. The bare bones of the fight is structured ahead of time. Like you'll deliver this many punches, you'll deliver this many energy blasts, you'll defend this way, you'll move in that direction. But then, on the spot, we do a fair amount of improvising as well. With Bridget and Jess, they did a really good job of just immersing themselves in the situation, and their movements were just impeccably great. Sometimes it helps to have. We've had on a couple sets, we've had someone to help us a little bit with choreography, and that's fun too. But you can't always have somebody there. The bigger the crew is, the harder they are to move around and get all in one place. So it's best, actually, I've found, to have the most stripped down crew you can possibly have, and then you can spend the most time as a result paying attention to the needs of the individuals in the production, especially the actresses. So yeah, but yeah, as it's I would say that the fights are a mixture of scripted and improvised, kind of half and half. And then, of course, there's a third element, which is CGI, and we really do use CGI. And our current editor, Mike Ty, he's really good at it. And so we have to put that in afterwards. So the ladies do have to kind of imagine themselves shooting ice and toxic gas, because it's not really there. They're not practical effects. We have some practical effects, but like blood and stuff. But yeah, so there is a CGI element as well added on top of the real battles.
Those are some of my favorite to film. Is just the pretending like you're getting hit with something, just be like, ah, or if you're shooting something and you kind of like almost kind of buff yourself up for a second, just like, ah, like pretending like you're moving a heavy weight or something like that.
Blowing the toxic gas, like, because I feel like I am in the moment. I'm like, I'm totally blowing this toxic gas.
Yeah, and then when you get to actually see it later, that is cool. And I agree. Mike does a really good job. The most recent episode that we just showed at the convention, Arctica has a moment where she shoots some ice blasts, and I remember watching thinking, oh wow, that looks great. So that's really fun too, because you don't really grow up thinking like, oh, I'm gonna be a superhero and like see myself on screen shooting like these powerful blasts out of my arms or something like that. So it's really fun to actually get to see it.
That's awesome. And thanks for explaining all the special effects. I was very curious, so I'm glad that you were able to explain that for me as well as our viewers. I have just kind of a generic, general question. Do you have like favorite superheroes and villains from the comic book world, Jess and Bridget?
So this is gonna be really dumb, but I really started liking villains with the Lion King and the hyenas. I really love them so much. And as a little kid, I had like
Oh.
every one of the hyenas toy you could have imagined. Like it was like you wouldn't think they would have made so many, but they did. And that was when I really was like, I love the bad guys. So it's not exactly a comic book, but that was definitely my turning point with those hyenas and Lion King.
Uh, what about you,
Um,
Bridget?
well, just a quick aside. I get kind of what you're saying because as a kid with The Lion King, I loved all the songs, but my favorite one was Be Prepared, Star's
Yes.
song. And as a kid, I never wanted to admit that because for some reason I thought that that meant that I was evil.
Yeah, I totally get that.
And I didn't want to be evil. So, yeah, very silly kid logic. But yeah, I grew up. I liked a lot of the Disney villains. But as far as like comics goes, I saw bits and pieces of the '90s X-Men show, like a little bit here and there. But I actually grew up more watching X-Men Evolution, which was like the other one, the one that came out in like the early 2000s. But I really like that show a lot. Um, Sometimes I'd watch Spider Man. I loved Batman, the animated series, growing up as a kid. Didn't really read the comics, but I loved that show. And the villains on it were really great. You know, like the Joker was really great. I remember there was a particular episode with I think it was Poison Ivy that really scared the crap out of me as a kid. It was like people were like slowly turning into wood or something like that. But I guess as far as I haven't actually really read that many comic books, but I have read a couple. And like one of them was Watchmen, which I feel like is pretty popular. But I really like how that one made you think a lot about like you know who watches the Watchmen, who's really the villain. They had really engaging characters in that respect.
It's awesome. I'm also a big X-Men fan. I watched that growing up. Obviously, I'm more for Gambit. That's one of my favorites.
Okay.
X-Men characters, and Nightcrawler. That's the other.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's a great one.
Yep. And then as far as the Batman animated series, I've always enjoyed the Scarecrow as the villain, and I always enjoyed Two-Faced. But so when you were developing these super heroines and super villains, did you do any kind of research yourselves, or did you just use kind of your imagination of how you were going to come up with these characters? Uh, Bridget and Jess?
I feel like that's more of a creator question because,
Okay. In Heroineburgh?
yeah,
Oh, sure. Well, so a lot of these um, characters I created were kind of either derived or amalgamations of stuff from my youth. Um, I literally there were a handful of these that I created all the way back when I was 10 or 11, and this comes from something which no longer exists, but it was big for a couple years. Comic book series around 1980, 81 called Dial H for Hero. It was the only time that a large mass of kids who read comics or adults, if they read it, could create their own heroes and see their heroes used in a book. This doesn't happen anymore, at least not in comics. And I must have created about a dozen and mailed them into DC, and none were ever used. But there were a couple like Savannah, who's the cat-powered character, who like kind of were from that time period of my life. So yeah, I think the characters I've created They are influenced by a lot of different things, and they reflect in Pittsburgh a bunch of different aspects of neighborhood, ethnicity, profession, subculture. And so when I was creating some of these characters, I was thinking about, well, what would happen if this character was at Carnegie Mellon University and, endured some kind of accident. That's what happened to Bridget's character Arctica, by the way. A lab accident got her the powers. And also, Chlorina is a scientist who is at University of Pittsburgh, and she's impatient. She wants to clone things, and winds up getting powers. So yeah, so it's not just what I grew up with or the characters I submitted to Dial H for Hero. It's also like just being in Pittsburgh and trying to create characters that relate to the situations here. Like I said, whether it be like a certain neighborhood or a certain ethnicity or a certain mythological background. Um, so there's a lot of different influences, but it all starts with the idea that I really learned that you didn't have to just sit back and read Superman and Batman comics, although you could. You could create your own characters and make your own comics, and that's what people have been doing. I lived through the 80s black and white explosion, right? And there was a lot of that with the Ninja Turtles and stuff. People making their own books, not waiting for DC or Marvel to use their characters, right? So, yeah, it's just all about creativity and thinking up your own stuff, which I've learned to do from an early age. I think, I think Bridget and Jess can tell you kind of how they have applied their own spin to the characters I gave them, though, for sure. Because I definitely let the actresses, kind of imbue themselves into the script. So yeah, we should definitely go for that.
Yeah, definitely. I know for me, like I had the idea of who Chlorina was, and I got to, not being the first Chlorina, I got to see a little bit about her backstory and how she got to the place that she was. But I do feel like, I have kind of created this vision of this mistress of toxins, and I am able to really like own that and make that, when we're out or we're filming, I feel like I have a lot of my own personality in there, which makes it really cool.
Um, for me, I came in. Uh, the other actress had done one episode as Arctica, and I hadn't seen it. I didn't know that this existed when I came in as Arctica. So, in a way, I kind of started from scratch a little bit with the character, but I read over
Yeah.
the script of the first episode that she was in, so that kind of gave me an idea. And part of the idea with Arctica was that she was sort of a, a kind of cold person who only cared about her research and things. And as she gains her powers and starts using them to help people more, she starts to warm up, as it were, including warming up in her love life, actually wanting to have a relationship. So that kind of informed my portrayal as well. And for me, this might sound a little strange, but every time I play Arctica on screen, I kind of try to talk with a more like, I don't know, theatrically heroic voice. And for me, that helps me inform how Arctica is, because it's a lot of times it's like if you have a certain voice, you don't have to change your voice 100%, but if you just change the tone and just have like, you just get the right emotion across, that's something that helps me with Arctica. And that to me, it's like, well, she may not always get her love life right, but she wants to be a strong, proud superhero who helps people at the end of the day.
So we have a certain level of camp in the production, I guess, or drama, and I think that compared to say Marvel, which always tries to like ground things in the real world and make a lot of quippy jokes and say the world's outside your window, etc. Here's the nitty gritty. I think we're more like DC in that respect, because in DC the characters are more kind of like they're kind of like gods, I guess, or demigods, and they act above everything, above the fray. And I think our approach is more like a campy, more dramatic version of real life. Instead of gritty real life, we kind of like, what if Pittsburgh had all these super powered beings? It would be overly dramatic, and everybody would be I don't know, not Shakespearean, but they would certainly be much larger than life, right? So
Mhm.
I think it's fun to, even though we're grounded in a real place, to act larger than life, and just give our characters lots of pride and panache, as it were, rather than bringing them down to a like a real Marvel like world outside your window level. So that's at least what I see in the approach.
And then I have this one last question. What does it mean, and this is for all of you, what does it mean for you to have people who enjoy your work and comic books and at these conventions? What does it mean to you personally?
You guys want to start?
Sure. Um,
Jess
I
did a comic book signing, so you could start with that. That was fun.
That was so much fun. I felt larger than life. Like I felt like I was the super villain. Like that was me, and I was the celebrity there to sign autographs. And it's such a cool feeling because in that moment you are the super villain in the comic book, and it doesn't matter that I was Jessica walking into the building and ran to the bathroom and became Chlorina. It's such a cool feeling, and seeing other people get excited and want your autograph, and are enthused about what you're doing. It's so like it takes you out of the real world and it puts you into this world, and it just like is living in it. It's really cool.
Bridget's
Bridget?
actually been Bridget's actually been to a bunch of conventions and done a bunch of appearances and signings. So
Yeah, and similar to what Jess is saying, it's really cool. It's fun to come in, beginning of the day, you're just a person like everyone else, and then you come out, and you have the costume on, and you get to tell people about the show and that it's all made in Pittsburgh. And um, I think for me, that's the best part of it, is telling people that it's made in Pittsburgh and that everybody involved in the show and then the comics loves doing it. That it's really fun, and um, it just to me, that's, I guess that's the best part, is just telling people how much we love it. And when I see people, like sometimes we have people come up that will buy, that have never read it before, they'll just buy all three comics, and like that's always a big thrill. Like, oh, I really hope they like it, even if they don't watch the show, if they only like the comics, like I hope that they really like it, I hope they'll support us, like I hope they'll love it as much as we do. And yeah, it's fun and it's cool. And I mean, Jess, I'm sure you feel the same way. I didn't think I'd be on the cover of a comic book one day.
Right.
So it's really neat.
It's awesome.
And what does it mean to you, Heroineburgh, personally?
oh well, what I like to do is really connect with like-minded individuals, both in terms of producing the videos and producing the comics. It's amazing to see out there how many people still enjoy both comics and superhero productions for the sheer adventure and escapism of it, and because that's what we're here for, and to convey my idea of what that is, and then the actresses kind of put it into practice and realization. So yeah, I've found a lot of common threads with people out there who enjoy that kind of stuff, and it's great to, whether you're talking to people at conventions, or you're talking to people that run comic shops, or even other actors from other productions. There are there's a few things that are kind of similar to us in other places, but there really isn't any other show in North America that's done 23 full-length narrative-based live-action episodes. I mean,
Wow.
like we have, the closest thing to us really might be Bill Black's Femforce movies in Florida. So yeah, the fact that we're both people are both able to relate to us and also be unique is a cool thing.
Very cool. Well, do you have anything else left to say as we wrap it up here on Dan-A-Plooza?
I hope you guys check out the show or check out the comics, and I hope that you enjoy them.
And I cannot wait later this year for our filming together to be available to view. So get yourselves excited for that and make sure you're following everything so you can see it.
Yeah, Jessica's first episode and the one that Bridget acted with her, that'll be out in probably late May, episode 22, which is actually the 24th episode because we have a couple of two-parters. Yes. And yeah, everyone should just go to our social media. We have heroineburgh.com. We have Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and Twitter, all under the name Heroineburgh, HeroineBurgh. Super heroines in the city of Pittsburgh.
All right. Well, that's going to wrap it up for another episode of Dan-A-Plooza. Stay tuned. Our next guest, actress Stephanie Swift, will be on the show. Take care. Have a good night.
Thank you so much.